Morning. Happy Monday. It's gray here in Washington. You knew I was going to say that. My coffee report and my weather report are fairly similar each day. Same coffee, maybe slightly different mug, and similar gray day here in Washington, unless it's summer and then it's gorgeous. But today, the whole sky is painted gray. But that is why people drink so much coffee out here in the Pacific Northwest. So I feel like I found my home because the weather actually reinforces my love for coffee. So this morning I have a new coffee mug to share, so I'm really excited about it. So check out this mug. It is gorgeous. This is a gift from Fitme member Terry Knox. She sent it to me, and it has the most pretty purples and greens, and it looks, again, you know me guys, like if it looks like a little bit like nature, then I'm here for it. And this one in particular reminds me so much of the Eastern Shore because the Eastern Shore of Maryland, which is where I'm from, has these like wetlands. And there's a lot of reeds, they look like hay or something, right? But they grow out of the water. Reeds and like blue herring kind of animals. And that's exactly what this looks like because of the way that the pottery is. It reminds me exactly of the Eastern Shore. I used to have this poster on my wall when I was a kid, and it had the Chesapeake Bay kind of like wetlands, and it had all of the different animals that you would find in the Chesapeake Bay wetlands. And then also, some of the descriptions of the actual like habitat. I was kind of a nerd. And they actually like made this museum in my hometown when I was a kid. It wasn't there, and then it was there. And it's called the Ward Museum. I don't know if they still have it anymore, but it's just about like wild, Eastern Shore of Maryland birds is what it is. And I was super into it. And so I remember making a project that went into the museum, clearly still in my head. So anywho, this mug, I have seen into the swirls, and that's what I see. I see the wetlands of the Eastern Shore of Maryland. And the potter who made this mug is called Pots and Dots. So she is in, I think it's Moline, Illinois. And she does functional and whimsical creation. So you guys should check her out because this mug is beautiful. And thank you so much, Terry, for sending it to me. And I'm drinking my Humboldt Bay coffee because it's delicious and I'm not out of it yet. And so I'm still drinking it. I had actually had a different coffee talk message this morning. And when I went into the kitchen just now to refill my coffee, I looked at one of my plants on my windowsill. So I've talked to you about plants before. I have lots of plants surrounding my desk, lots of plants in various parts of my house. But my windowsill plants are not always my best plants in my kitchen because I like to call those plants like they're kind of in like the ICU. Like sometimes those plants end up there because they're not doing well somewhere else. And I'm like, well, if they end up here, they get their own window. They're right by the water. There's no way I can forget about you. And so they tend to like, they're not always like my best plants, So anyways, this one plant has been there from day one. I've had it for well over a year now. And it has kind of these like spines. So it grows with these stalks and it has these spines that stick out. I don't know the name of this kind of plant. It was a gift given to me. And apparently this plant's kind of finicky, which is probably why it ended up on my windowsill because maybe it almost died like within its first couple of weeks with me and I must have put it there because it's been there ever since. Well, it has these sort of like Dr. Seuss looking spines that stick out. Maybe my homework for today is to identify this plant that I'm talking about. Well, it actually thrived on that windowsill. It grew, and then these like long, I don't know, they're not branches, but whatever they are, they started to actually fall because it grew too big. And then now, so I was like, oh, this plant's going to need a new home soon. And I know not long ago we talked about plants outgrowing their pots. So go back to that episode if you missed it. It's a really good one about outgrowing your environment that once used to work for you. But that's not what this is about. This plant its leaves, like, so these stalks had fallen and they were maybe pointing like in the wrong direction. I don't know. I walked past it this morning and it has like 6 new offshoots that are pointing back towards the window. So these like branches had fallen sideways. So those little spines, I guess, might not have been pointed in the right direction. And so it grew new ones that are pointing towards the window off of the old ones. It's incredible. I'll take a picture of it and put it on my Instagram story. So if you follow me on Instagram, Christy May Campbell, I will post a picture of what I'm talking about. But it's incredible. This plant adapted and then grew new offshoots to get what it needs, which apparently is more light, I'm guessing, because otherwise it would have just stayed like that. If it was like a shade plant, it probably would have stayed all like wilty and not grown these offshoots. But this plant needs light, clearly. Maybe it needs more light. But anyway, it grew these offshoots and now it's getting more light because it adapted. So this isn't going to be much of a stretch for a metaphor. You see what this plant is teaching us. This plant is teaching us that it's up to us to adapt. It's up to us to grow our offshoots to get what we need and adapt. Now, I don't know if that for you means like setting a different kind of boundary, giving yourself more time. I don't know if that for you means making some sort of change to your routine where you can actually get what you need, whether that's quiet time, whether that's quality meal. I coached someone inside fitme for a long time, and she's wonderful. I won't say her name because I didn't ask her permission to tell you this, but I remember talking to her about taking time for lunch when we first started working together. And she worked a very busy job that required her to be on her feet, and they did not allocate any time for her to take lunch. I remember that. And I said to her, well, you need to eat lunch. You're a human. Like, you need to eat. You're on this really long shift. You're busy. Like, it's you should be able to eat. And they're like, yeah, well, they expect us to kind of like, eat on the go. Like, we can eat, but there's no time for it. And so what she needed was actual food. I mean, she joined fitme actually because she wanted to lose weight, but it wasn't too long before we realized that in order for her to lose weight, she actually needed to eat more food. And so eating more food was literally what her body needed. And so she made it work for a long time. She did. She would pack like kind of like on the go sort of yogurts. She was making it work. She was making it work. But then one day she just decided that this isn't the place for her anymore. And she like adapted. She adapted what she was doing to get what she needed. She actually found a different job that she thrived better in because it was actually able to give her what she needs. And she personally had to change in order to do that. Because for her to stay in the status quo would have been a lot easier. For her to stay exactly where she is right now, or was, for her to kind of start to wilt like this plant. Its branches are wilting because it's not getting what it needs anymore. I mean, it's surviving, but it's not thriving. And so it wouldn't, I'm guessing, the inner workings of this plant, because plants are simple, it knew it wasn't thriving. It needed something it wasn't getting, and it adapted. It shot these offshoots straight back towards the window to get what it needs. It could have stayed where it was, but it didn't. And neither did she. So this fitme client, she quit her job eventually. It took a while. It was like a couple years in the making, because sometimes, if you work a real job, you can't just be quitting all the time. But she started to put the wheels in motion to find herself a professional job that actually got her what she needed, which wasn't just eating lunch. I mean, that was a part of it. It was more time with her family. It was a less stressful environment. It was a more fulfilling workplace. Like, there was all these things that she needed. But don't misunderstand. She adapted to get what she needed. She actually changed. She didn't stay the same. So when she went to this new position, she had actually evolved. She's different now. And that's what we have to consider. Sometimes when we're not getting what we need, not only do we need a change of environment, but we also need to adapt. We need to create the change to get what we need. We have to do it or we won't thrive. You'll wilt away. And sometimes the universe can do it for you. Like, I guess I probably could have picked up that plant and moved it had I understood what it needed. But I actually didn't. I thought it was fine. You want to take this metaphor even further? I thought that plant was fine. It's been there for a year or two. I thought it really liked its corner. I thought it was just fine. I actually thought I was pleased with it because somebody else's plant had died and my plant had lived. It was the same kind of plant. So I was like, oh, this plant's doing great. From the outside, it looked like it was doing fine. From the inside, it clearly was not thriving, and it forced itself to adapt to get what it needed. So it doesn't matter what it looks like on the outside, guys. Somebody else might think you are A-okay, but it doesn't mean that you don't need some change. It doesn't mean that you are thriving. So I know I'm bringing the fire on Monday morning, but man, that plant was so inspiring. Sometimes you just look at the stuff around you and you're like, holy crap. Like, that's incredible. Nature will do that. Children will do that. Plants will do that. Pets will do that. I feel like those are the kind of anything can do that. A bottle of ketchup can do that sometimes. So thanks as always for plugging into Coffee Talk. I would love to know if this message hit for you today. Am I talking to you? Do you need to change? Is everybody looking at you from the outside and thinking that you're thriving, but you actually need something you're not getting and it's time to adapt? Do you need a space, a professional space in which you can thrive? Maybe it's a personal space. Maybe it's boundaries. Maybe you're not getting what your body physically needs. You're not getting rest, or you're not getting exercise, or you're not getting your downtime, like going for a walk where your body can just move and be. Maybe you are not getting what you need. And the way to get it is to change. You have to adapt to get what you need. So let me know if I'm talking to you. I want to know. And again, thanks as always for plugging in for Coffee Talk with me and having a cup of coffee. If you enjoy these episodes, please do me a huge favor and subscribe on your favorite podcast app. I'm on all of them: Spotify, iTunes, Downcast. I think I'm even on Amazon Podcasts now and Google Podcasts, which are some new ones. So I'm on those too. And if you are listening on the podcast but are not in our Facebook group, I broadcast these live in the Facebook group every single day. I also publish these on my YouTube channel. So I put Coffee Talk on the Christy Mae Campbell YouTube channel, so you can always watch them there if you actually want to see the coffee cups that I'm talking about. You can go to my YouTube channel and watch these. And if you are not in our Facebook group, come on over. Search Fit Me Free Intro on Facebook. I don't spend any time on Facebook except in this group because it's a great place to be. It's positive. It's encouraging. It will show you some of the initial changes that you need to make to start changing your food, your exercise routine, how you think about food and movement, and it will help you start to make those diet-free and sustainable changes that you're looking for. It's a great way for you to get to know Fit Me and see what we're about. So I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Bye.